All right, let's talk about something that, well, it really shouldn't be possible. We're going to unravel a modern business mystery today. How did an insurance company, Lemonade, manage to double its business while its staff numbers stayed almost completely flat? It's a fascinating story, so let's dive in. Just think about this question for a second. How do you double in size, double your customers, double your revenue, but your employee count basically doesn't budge? It just goes against everything we assume about how businesses grow. So what's going on here? Is there some kind of catch, or have they figured out a totally new way of working? And this chart, wow, it just lays out the paradox perfectly. Over a 3-year period, Lemonade's total insurance premiums, which is, basically the size of their business, shot up by over 100%. But look at their employee headcount. It grew by just 2%. That's practically nothing. So how on earth did they manage to do that? Yeah, a seemingly impossible feat. And let's be super clear here. This kind of efficiency is not normal, especially not in an industry like insurance, which has always been so reliant on people. This really is a fundamental break from how things have always been done. To put this into perspective, just look at this number. Lemonade is now generating $730,000 in premiums for every single employee they have. That is a massive figure that puts them right up there with the industry's biggest, most established players. And for them, this is just the beginning. Okay, so to really understand Lemonade's secret, we first have to understand the problem they set out to solve. We need to take a quick look at how old-school insurance companies work and the big challenge that's always held them back. And the core issue for these legacy companies is a concept called diminishing returns. For decades, the rule was pretty simple. If you wanted to get bigger, you had to hire more people. You had to add more complex software systems. But you eventually hit a wall, a point where adding more people and more systems just makes you slower and less efficient, not more profitable. And here's where you can really see the two models side by side. On one hand, you have traditional insurers. They are often buried under decades of fragmented technology, sometimes hundreds of different systems that just don't talk to each other. So to grow, their only real option is to just throw more people at the problem. But Lemonade, they started from scratch. They built their entire company on one single unified system they call Blender. And this isn't just a database, it's the brain of the whole operation. It lets them use AI to augment their human team, creating a system where efficiency actually increases with scale. The bigger they get, the smarter their system gets. So let's pull back the curtain a little bit. How does this AI-powered engine actually work day to day? Because it's not just about cool tech, it's about creating a whole new relationship between people and machines. Now, this is what I think is so cool about this. People aren't being replaced here. Their jobs are just evolving. Someone who was a top-tier customer support expert, who knew exactly how to help people, now becomes an AI supervisor. Their new job is to coach and grade the AI's performance. Or they might become an AI trainer, someone who gets their hands dirty and actually refines the AI's logic to make it smarter and, believe it or not, more empathetic. So the process itself is pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. A customer submits a request or a ticket. The core Blender system instantly analyzes it and routes it. Simple stuff goes straight to an AI agent they named Maya. The more complex, tricky issues, those get sent to a human expert. And this is the absolute key, every single interaction the AI has is reviewed and graded by a human AI supervisor. This creates this constant feedback loop where the system is always learning. And this is where it gets really fun. We're going to look at a real-world example of exactly how this human feedback loop works. Let's see how the team literally teaches their AI Maya to be not just efficient, but also empathetic. Okay, so here's the actual customer ticket. A customer named Kali just got engaged, so congrats to Kali, and she wants to insure her new Tiffany ring. This is a pretty common request, right? But it's also one that has a lot of emotion attached to it. And here is Maya's first crack at a response. Now, technically, it's correct. It gives Kaylee the link she needs to add the ring to her policy herself. It works. But it just feels so cold, so robotic, and it's missing some really crucial info. So the human AI supervisor steps in. They grade this interaction. What did Maya do right? Well, she did provide the correct functional link. But what did she do wrong? First, zero empathy. This is a huge, exciting life moment for Kaylee, and Maya just completely whiffed on it. And second, she didn't warn Kaylee that she'd need a receipt or an appraisal to finish the process, which is just going to cause more friction later. So the supervisor fails this interaction.
And this is where the magic happens. An AI trainer goes into this digital sandbox they call the playground to teach Maya a better way. They add 2 new simple rules. First, if a major life event like an engagement is mentioned, respond with some excitement, some empathy. Second, proactively tell the customer they're going to need proof of value. Then they test these new rules against all sorts of other scenarios before they publish the change, instantly making Maya smarter for every single customer from that point on.
And here it is. This is the result. Just look at that new response. It's warm, it's celebratory, it's actually helpful by telling her what she needs up front. This is human-led AI at its absolute best. It's not just about automating tasks, it's about scaling empathy and scaling quality. Okay, so we know how they're doing it. It's an amazing system. But this level of automation and efficiency, it has to come at a cost, right? You've got to be thinking, is the customer experience getting sacrificed here for the sake of the bottom line?
You know, that's a question Lemonade's own COO, Shai Weininger, addressed head-on. He asked, are they just like a low-cost airline, where you know going in that you're trading comfort and service for a cheap ticket? And his answer was a very clear, emphatic no. He argues that technology, when it's done right, lets you have both.
And honestly, the data is just crystal clear on this. This chart shows customer satisfaction scores, and Lemonade isn't just a little bit better, they are in a completely different league than the rest of the industry. This pretty much proves that efficiency does not have to come at the expense of a great customer experience. And the scale of what they've accomplished here is just staggering. In less than a year after launching this new AI platform, they are already handling about half of all their customer service tickets. We're talking over 1 million interactions a year with full automation. So, okay, what's the financial impact of all this innovation? It is massive. In just the short time since their last investor update, this AI-driven automation has already saved the company $35 million. And that, believe it or not, is just the beginning. But the real power here is in the compounding effect. Because the AI is always learning and always improving, the savings just accelerate over time. Over the next 4 years, Lemonade projects the system will save them an additional $1 billion. That's the power of truly scalable efficiency. So it all comes down to this. They've taken that old model of diminishing returns and just completely flipped it on its head. For Lemonade, growth isn't a problem, it's a gift. The bigger they get, the more data their AI has, the smarter it becomes, and the more efficient the entire company gets. And that leaves us with one final big thought. This isn't just a story about insurance. It's really a blueprint for a whole new kind of company, one where humans are training AI to scale not just the work, but to scale quality and even empathy. So the real question is, if this model works for something as complex and as human as insurance, which industry is going to be transformed by it next?